Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
What's up, everybody? This is Jeff.
And Ben.
From Toking with the Dead.
And Still Toking With.
And Still Toking With. Still Toking With is our live show. You can catch that every Wednesday.
At 7 p.m.
Eastern.
That's
Eastern.
Yeah,
if you live in fucking California, it's got to be 3.
No, 4.
4?
Yeah. They're only 3 hours behind.
What about daylight savings?
Yeah, well, fuck that. We'll worry about that one.
Okay, so if you're on the West Coast, you're going to have to look up when 6 o'clock is out there compared to here.
Which would be actually 7 o'clock out there instead of here.
7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Before this is over, I'm going to need a whole lot of serious therapy.
You're all fucked up today.
Another $1 for the swear jar.
I'm always fucked up. You should tune into the show and see really how fucked up I can get.
Oh, yeah.
Well, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
And when you do tune in, you're going to see amazing guests like this.
Hey, this is Courtney Gaines. You know me from such movies as Children of the Corn, Can't Buy Me Love, Burbs, even Back to the Future.
Hey everybody, this is Anderson Williams, and I'm going to be on Still Toking With.
Hi, I'm Deadeye Swackhammer, and you're listening to Still Toking With.
Hey guys, it's Boston comedian Dave Russo, and you're listening to Still Toking. Do not change that dial. I'm going to punch you in the face. You fuckers. In the face.
Hi, this is Steve Wallace from ET&Q Show, and you're listening to Still Toking With on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another kick-ass episode of Still Toking With. Yeah, you know who I am. At least I think you do by now. And if not, well, that's just unfortunate, I guess. But I only really have...
Is it the screen, or are your hair, even your beard, it looks whiter?
Yeah, that's because I have to deal with you. There's that voice in my head, and all I'm going to say is, Agumba. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. So the man that always brings flash with flashy, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Hi, boys. Hi, folks. Hey, you know, like I said in my media promoting our show today, I love doing this show. 2 great guys I love and respect, and we talk to the most interesting people in the world. Wonderful. But today I get to talk to someone who's been a friend for over 37 years, and I'm just so thrilled and happy, and he's going to love these guys. You know he's going to love Ben, and then, of course, he's going to love our other co-host, Jeff Hone.
Oh, should I put the camera on him now?
That'd be a good idea. Yes.
The voice in my head.
It's Wednesday. Hey, we are officially halfway through season 6.
Oh,
right.
That's right. That's right.
We are. Yep. We are officially halfway through season 6. It's been a huge success. I don't think I've missed too many this year. Maybe
just a couple.
Just a couple. Yeah. I've been doing.
And you're going to miss next week because you'll be on vacation in the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah. You know, I have to go there. That's where I get rid of bodies.
That is true.
You know, it is true. You know, a couple of cinder blocks, some chain, and I make my own. I make my own Jasons.
We're gonna get a call from him in like a week. He's gonna be like, "Can somebody come please bail me out of jail?" They thought that.
Yeah. You know, you got to catch me first. But anyway, I'm looking forward to tonight and chatting with this guy here. You know, I was a big fan growing up of his. I'll call it a creepy, kind of weird, fucked up little show that I really enjoyed. Probably because it was a kind of creepy and fucked up. And I love Sleestack. Let's bring him in, Mr. Wesley Eure.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
We're laughing because off camera we were discussing the pronunciation of Wes's last name. You got the last name right, but his first name is Wesley.
Well, you know why?
The Weasley is kind of fun. I like that.
The Weasley. Well, I actually said Wellesley. That's because I grew up right next to a town that was named Wellesley. And I looked down at the paper and I saw W, and that's what came out.
Before she passed, Loretta Swit. I always said the only person who could ever say my name correctly was Loretta Swit. She would go, Wesley, how are you?
Lorette was wonderful, greatly missed.
I'd say I'd apologize for that, but I really don't give a shit.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
You guys have the best opening of this podcast. First of all, I love that commercial. How amazing, and your opening is just terrific.
Well, thank you. That was all put together by our producer, Mr. Leo Pond, who runs the Dorkening Podcast Network, which is who we're affiliated through. So, and usually he's up here in my seat, and I was over in Jeff's seat, and Jeff was in Jeffrey's seat. But he's got too many shows to do, so now it worked.
Nice.
You know? Yeah.
I think he just got tired of being called the monkey behind the keyboard, so he booted us.
He still puts it in the show opener, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know he does. He does.
So
anyway, welcome to the show.
Wes, so you were in your mother's womb and adjusting the lights so you'd look proper. How old were you when you started to do the professional thing in show business?
Well, my first job, I was driving Robert Goulet and Carol Lawrence in a mobile home called they said the Bob Goulet Show on the side. It was a Dodge Travco motorhome when I was like 18 and a half. I met them in Las Vegas. I was selling artwork after school at the Frontier Hotel. They said, we want you to go on tour with us and drive our mobile home for the Goober Grove circuit. They were doing I Do, the musical and the concert. And so as a kid, they flew me to New York. And I'm driving the Goulets, around on the East Coast for the whole summer. And then I started working in New York. My first job was the American Shakespeare Festival at Stratford. I was doing Ariel in The Tempest and doing Shakespeare.
Wow.
But I'm from the South, from Mississippi and Louisiana, and I didn't know anything, not a thing about Shakespeare. And I remember I was working a temp job, and it said, you had to do 2 pieces from Shakespeare. I went to the library. I learned 2 sonnets. I did them. I got this job as Ariel. And we rehearsed for a week in New York. And I get on stage, and I'm going, all hail, grave master Grace, to hail. I come to answer thy beck and call, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire. And they go, Wesley, not on our stage. I go, what's wrong? They go, your accent. I go, what accent? And they sent Liz Smith, this linguist. She spent 9 months working with me to get rid of my accent. Instead of going running and jumping, I'd go running, jumping, ghost, host. It's true.
Is it hard to break an accent? Is it tough to break your accent?
Well, it happened so gradually. When I was studying it was run by the Juilliard School of Music. It was their theater, and the heads of Juilliard. And so I just kind of went away. And now I'm talking like this. Well, it just went away.
Yeah. Well, it just came back.
Right back. Yep.
Exactly, y'all. That's nice.
I have the same thing. Get me talking to someone from Brooklyn, and in about 10 minutes, I sound like Fran Drescher. It just comes out.
I remember when I was on Days of Our Lives, it would slip in a lot. When I've been on for many years, and I was, got really comfortable, and suddenly they were writing it like I would say, "Darling," like that. They would write in the script, "Darling,"
Wow.
So
you
bring
did over 600 episodes on that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It was what a great job that was. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised my wife. Go ahead.
I just spent most of my 20s there, but.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm surprised my wife hasn't jumped in the chat yet because that's one of her all-time favorite shows. I mean, like still to this day.
Yeah, I played Mike Horton for about a decade, almost.
Yeah. But you brought up Days of Our Lives, but you were actually doing Days of Our Lives and Land of the Lost at the same time.
Yep.
How the hell could you do that?
Well, they were both NBC shows, so they let me do it. But they made a deal. So for 3 years, when I got to go into NBC Burbank and film all my Days of Our Lives scenes in front of everybody. So the cast hated me. For 3 years, they hated me because I would go in the morning, do all my stuff, and leave because I had to get in the car and go over the hill to Hollywood for Land of the Lost. So in the morning, I'm crying that my girlfriend's leaving me, that I'm having sexual problems, the mafia's after me. And in the afternoon, I'm going, run, Holly, run. There's a dinosaur.
Wow.
I mean,
so why do you think Land of the Lost was as successful as it was? I mean, it was corny as hell.
Well, it was written by the Star Trek writers. So David Gerald was our head writer, Trouble with Tribbles. Walter Koenig, Chekhov, created Enoch, the Talking Sleestack. DC Fontana, Larry Niven, Spenrad. All the for the first 2 years, the scripts were, really good sci-fi. And in fact, David Gerald said that he told his writers, we're not going to write a Saturday morning sci-fi show. We're going to write a sci-fi show that airs on Saturday morning. And so if you look at the scripts, I mean, it's corny. I mean, because we didn't have CGI, 70s, all effects,
So it made it great.
Right. But the scripts, guys, time doorways and matrices and doppelgangers and antecedents. And Enoch finds out that the green giant Sleestack are not from his past. They're coming to his future. He has to go back and warn his family. The sci-fi concepts were amazing and written by some of the greatest sci-fi writers of all time. In fact, Sid Croft, who's in his 90s, he's still a great friend of mine. And he said that they asked Gene Roddenberry to be our head writer. And Gene had just finished Star Trek. And he said, I can't do it. I'm busy, but I've got this young writer named David Gerald who did Trouble with Tribbles. And so David came on, and thank goodness David came on. He created a sci-fi show.
Wow. Where did that shoot, Russ?
We shot 2 different places. The first year was General Services Studios, which was the old Charlie Chaplin Studios, and then we moved over to Goldwyn for 2 years.
I want to say it was a success because it had a great cast.
Thank you.
The three of you had on-screen magic.
Well, Kathy Coleman, who played Holly, and I are best friends. In fact, I live in Palm Springs, California, and Kathy has moved here 3 years ago. So there'll be a knock on my door, and there'll be a mocha frappuccino from Starbucks at the door. So we travel together. We're really like best friends. And Spencer Milligan, who passed away this last year, played our dad. He was like a dad, and we all loved each other. Kathy became, really like a father figure to Kathy. And then Phil Paley, who played Chaka, the monkey. Now, Phil, when he started the show, was 10 years old. Kathy was 12. Kathy talks to him every day. He works for a law firm in Los Angeles. So Chaka got nair and got all hair removed. Chaka boy now.
I love it. I love it.
You're given an awful lot of what I thought were complex storylines on days. That they weren't your average everyday. They gave you some serious shit to act out on that show. I don't know that there were young leading men who were asked to do as much as you were asked to do. Going from troubled teen to being a doctor, going from being a virgin to being whatever season it was that they made Mike Horton out to be.
Yeah.
How did you? I mean, you were still kind of young, isn't it? I mean, you were in your 20s.
Sure.
Was there? Go ahead.
When I first got on the show, let's see, a wagon fell on my chest and crushed it. Then I found out that my father wasn't my father. He was really my uncle, because my uncle had raped my mother years ago at the hospital. Then I had an affair with Trish, but I couldn't get it up, so I thought I was gay. So then I had an affair with my father's ex-lover, Linda, to prove that I was okay. And then I met a girl with leukemia. I married Margot. She died. It was the first week of the show. It was.
Welcome to soap operas, folks.
Thank you so much, bro.
Well, no offense. I'm glad I was working.
See, unlike the two of you, I was too old to watch the morning show. But when I was kicked out at 17, I don't know why. I just turned on Days of Our Lives one day, and Wes was there. And it's like, all right, I'm watching this for the rest of my life. And I think I watched that show almost 20 years on a regular basis.
You're never too old because it's still on. You can see the reruns on like Tubi and things. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that the Sid and Marty Krofft started a channel, right? Don't they have their own streaming channel now?
Yeah, and it's on Cineverse and
Cineverse. That's what it is.
All over the place. And in fact, a big announcement last week on Netflix, all over the news. New version of Land of the Lost. It's in development for us, based on the original series.
Yo,
I don't
what do you
like
think
the
about
remake.
But you know what, David called me, and who's our head writer, and he said, you have Sid's phone number and stuff, and so I gave it to him. And I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful if David came back and became the head writer and continued the legacy and the traditions?
Yeah, I'd have to watch one or two, but I'm one of those. I love the original stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just that's me.
That's going to be a tough one.
So,
You know.
Wes, is there any young actor out there that you'd like to see play your part?
Have you met Wesley Eure here? You think I could play 16? There's not enough Vaseline for the screen.
No, they should just add a grandpa to the story, and then you can play that.
If they came to me, what I'd love to do, I'd love to be a monster. I'd love to be like an Enoch, or I'd love to be. That would make me really happy.
I could see that. I'd watch that then.
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all, Wesley? There was a film version made without the original.
Right, with Will Ferrell.
And then there's this version. Does it bother you to see your character moving on with other actors?
It's different. I remember on Days of Our Lives when they kept replacing me. It didn't. The first guy didn't. When I left, I was actually headlining in Vegas, opening for like Bill Cosby and stuff like that at Harrah's, and so they moved on with another actor after Ed. He didn't last long, and then Michael Weiss took it over, and then different. It's been on and on and on, and the character's still on Days of Our Lives. So it's it's interesting. It is interesting to watch. When I went to Universal Studios when they were filming Land of the Lost, the movie, Danny McBride was playing me. And it had nothing to do with the old series. It wasn't the same. It wasn't a family getting lost. It was, Will Ferrell played Marshall, the quote dad, and Holly was played by Anna Friel, but it wasn't her daughter. They were associates. They were work partners, like the anthropologist and things like that. But Danny came running over to me and goes, Wesley, how are you? And I pretended to light the torch and pass it to Danny. And he took it. And it was, it was lovely. I mean, it was the fact that people still want to see Land of the Lost and celebrate it. And it's got a huge new fan base. It's growing again, and it's crazy. It's like young kids will come up to when we're signing autographs and stuff at the Comic-Cons. I mean, dressed as us, especially as Kathy, with a checkered shirt, red checkered, white checkered shirt, and pigtails. And they know all the characters, and it amazes me. So, who knew?
Yeah, I mean, who knew?
Wow.
But
so that still airs somewhere then.
The what?
That still airs somewhere then.
I think 5 or 6 streaming services right now.
Yeah, Tubi has it.
Tubi,
yeah, Tubi has it.
Yeah,
Tubi has
it. Prime has it. I think there's a couple of Cineverse. I don't know. There's a couple of other ones.
Yeah,
there are episodes on YouTube. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Just Google it, folks.
Well, what was interesting. what was strange was when it suddenly became a cult classic. When it started getting that label, it went from an old TV show to a classic TV show, and then became a cult classic because it has such a huge following.
Yeah, your show has become like I Love Lucy, The Honeymooners, Dick Van Dyke, Land of the Lost, Twilight Zone, Star Trek. It's in that pantheon of every generation rediscovering it and loving it.
Yeah, and again, it's because of the writing. Shakespeare said it. The story's the thing. The effects are the effects, and I find them charming. I love stop frame animation, and I love all that stuff. The blue screen that we had, which was new at the time. Now it's green screen. Like you can just push a button and you've got green screen and fake backgrounds. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but before it was a really complex problem that they had to solve. Technically, in fact, the first episode we shot didn't work because the dinosaurs were filmed on film, the stop frame,
right,
in the monsters, and we were videotaped. So they had to, they tried to shrink us down. When we were on the blue screen, they would try to meld the videotape with film, and it didn't work. And they were panicked, and they called the Disney, the Disney engineers, spent the week trying to solve the problem, and they did, and it won a bunch of awards. Technically, it won a whole bunch of awards because it was something that had never been done before.
Right.
Well,
so
that's usually what happens when there's a problem. You solve the problem, and that becomes a breakthrough.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how does a good old Southern boy get on these shows? Days of Our Lives, it seems like the writers were running out of endless reasons to get you shirtless.
I was gonna, because you just asked the question, how does he get on the show? I was gonna say, have you seen him shirtless?
How did you handle? Look, being a sex symbol in show business and the attendant publicity is not easy for anyone to deal with. You have always kept your feet to the ground. I mean, you're the least puffed up person I've ever met. You are so down to earth. You know who you are. You know what you want. You say what you mean what you say. How did you do that when so many other people exploded with that kind of stuff?
It seemed unreal to me, Jeffrey. It just, I didn't perceive myself that way. So it was like, okay, I'll take my shirt off. Okay, I'll do this. I'll pose here and do this. And it was, I didn't see it. I didn't get why I was on the cover of a magazine. And it was, I'm from I was born in Baton Rouge and raised in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And all my families were my family members, educators. One was the president of a college, and teachers and professors. And I was the odd man out here. And so my world, it was startling to me. It was strange. It was strange. I remember the first time being in a grocery store and people, coming up to me and things like that. In fact, I had to move. When I first got on Days of Our Lives and Land of the Lost, I had a little rental on Wilcox in Hollywood. And of course, back then the phones, I was listed. I mean, why wouldn't I be listed, the phone numbers back in the day? And I got this call and I picked it up and it was a guy going, "Hey, how are you? Are you Wesley?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "My girlfriend really loves you." I go, oh, well, thanks. He goes, "I'm going to come and kill you, man. I'm going to kill you."
Jesus.
Yeah. And then I knew I had to move. And that was that was the first time. And I was like, whoa, I packed up my stuff and found a new place to live.
Wow. Well, that's what you get for being on a calendar.
Yeah. Chippendale's calendar. Yeah. I was the month of May. Yeah. Like, may I?
May I? Yep.
Yeah, the entire month of May.
Wow.
Oh man.
So would you do another calendar shirtless today?
Why, sure. Old Codgers BU. It's a beautiful one. Yeah, we have support hose and
right.
It's great. I can tie it up and
You're more like Chippy
I can
Dale.
advertise bras for men.
I'm just biting my tongue here. Just biting my tongue.
Well, sag for us.
Oh my goodness.
Oh Christ. How did we get to that?
Hey.
Because Wesley never believed, and I've been telling him this for almost 40 years, he is the most beautiful boy in the world. And he's never, I didn't call you a boy.
Oh.
I called you sir. It was a different situation.
And Jeffrey, by the way, is going in for glaucoma surgery next Thursday. He'll have his eyes fixed and be able to see properly. No, just kidding, obviously.
Maybe that's part of your charm, Wesley, that you don't think big of yourself. You're this incredibly intelligent, incredibly good looking actor,
very humble
actor, singer. You have a beautiful voice, producer, writer, author of books and scripts and
director, educator.
The stuff that people say to me sometimes, is there anything in show business you don't do? I can't think of anything in show business you really haven't done, except the adult video stuff, and I won't tell, I promise.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. My OnlyFans page is only $19.95 per month. No.
So that's how he affords the condo in Palm Springs.
Right. Exactly. So
it's not worth it. He keeps his shirt on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
speaking of pay me to put my shirt on now. It's great.
Speaking of keeping his shirt on and working behind the scenes, you co-created Dragon Tales. That is cool as hell.
Thanks.
Can you tell us? Go ahead.
Sure. Dragon Tales ran on PBS for about 9 years. Animated, Sony Pictures, children's television workshop. I had been writing and segment producing, and casting myself in a show called Totally Hidden Video for Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And the producer, the executive producer, was Jim Cohen. And when that show ended, I actually went to do a musical in Canada and left. And then Jim moved over to Sony Pictures, and I'd written a book called The Red Wings of Christmas, which Disney ended up buying for an animated feature. And I wrote the screenplay and the songs for Disney. And Jim called me one day because his son, Max, because in Dragon Tales, it's Max and Emmy, so it was named after Jim's son. Jim said, my son's favorite book is The Red Wings of Christmas. And so he said, there's a PBS is offering $16 million for a grant for a new kid show. And the Muppets want it, and Sesame Street wants it. And I've got these dragon drawings from a guy named Ron Rudiger, an educator in Laguna Beach. He said, we're trying to figure out a show, and we've done some work on it. Can you come in and look at it? And I did. He says, can you write it? Can you fix it up? So I wrote the treatment and stuff. And also they needed to get the grant, you had to have a second show. So I was doing a lecture series for kids called Anyone Can Write a Book. So I created a show called Show and Tell Me. And I wrote that one up too and presented both of them. And they sent it to PBS and the government. And within a week, we beat everybody. And the show sold, got $16 million. And so that's how I became part of the show. And then it went on. I left the show, and all these amazing writers and producers came in with Children's Television Workshop and did the day-to-day and wrote all the scripts but I got to play in the pond for a little bit, and it was wonderful. I have so many kids, especially kids on the spectrum, that come up to me now that watch Dragon Tales and can sing every song and know every character and all the episodes, and it's probably one of the most fulfilling. Let me tell you a story, just if you got a second.
Oh yeah, it's your show.
No,
we have 30 minutes. Wes, go.
No, so I'm at an autograph show with Kathy, and two girls come up, and they're on the spectrum severely, and they each have handlers, and they've never met each other, and they come to the table at the same time. They see, because I have stuffed the dragons, Cassie and Zach and Wheezy, the two-headed dragon, and stuff, plushies up on my table. And they're like excited, and I start singing the theme song, Dragon Tales, it's almost time for Dragon Tales. And this girl starts singing, come along, take my hand, let's all go to Dragon Land, and stuff like this. And her handler starts to cry, and I go, we're hugging and stuff, and the handler comes up, and I said, what's going on? She says, she's never spoken.
Wow.
Literally never spoken.
That's an impact.
Don't take that lightly.
No.
The music, something clicked, but she sang the song. And the two girls that met that day, I saw them at the rest of the convention were traveling together. They had made a friendship. And it was, how do you put into words something like that?
You just did beautifully.
Yeah, you did. You did. Wow. That's an awesome story, actually.
Isn't that it? And it happens with Land of the Lost too, because listen, if people come and Kathy says, people come up to Kathy and they dissolve these guys will dissolve back into 8-year-old boys with a bowl of cereal in front of a TV, and you can see them. They become little kids again, because we go back to that time, when it was our time. Saturday morning was our time. It was something we looked forward to every week, and we got those 6 hours, and the parents got to sleep in, and then we had to go play. But it was a special time.
Yep.
A kind of the same story, just real quick. You all remember Yvonne Craig, who played Batgirl in the Batman series, and she would do the same kinds of shows that Wesley does. And inevitably, these middle-aged men would come to her and confess. And she said to me, if one more middle-aged man comes up to me and tells me he got his first erection because of my Batgirl suit, I'm going to vomit.
Kathy and I have a nickel. We take a nickel and put it between us of these shows. And somebody comes up to Kathy and goes, you were my first crush. I slide the nickel over to Kathy. Because if I had a nickel for every time, and if somebody comes to me, you were my first crush, and Kathy slides the nickel. It's just a little thing we do. It's just very silent, back and forth. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's hilarious.
You dropped a little piece of information there a while back. We kind of just went past it. I would be fascinated to know, headlining in Las Vegas and being an opening act for Bill Cosby, what sort of act did Wesley Eure do back then?
I sang. I had 4 girl backup singers. I had equal billing with Cosby, and I did 45, and Bill did 45, and the girls, we had 47 costume changes between the 5 of us.
Wow. I
had 7. The girls had 10. It was a big production with sets and costumes, and sang and danced and told jokes. And my favorite thing, because, obviously with Bill Cosby, we know what happened and the sadness of the disappointment we all feel with what happened. Yes. But I remember opening night at Harrah's, I had not met Bill before. And I'm in my rhinestone tuxedo. And I remember, rhinestone tuxedo. Okay. So all the choreographers and the girls the girls actually kind of flew in on the opening number. So they had to go get all hoisted up and everything. And they called 15 minutes, and I hadn't met Bill. So I'm all by myself. I'm terrified. I'd never done a nightclub. This was my first nightclub act ever. I'm not opening at Harrah's. And I go knock on Bill's door. And he's got his jogging suit on, his cigar. And I go, hi, Mr. Cosby. I'm Wesley Eure. Goes, I know who you are. Come on in. So I go, he sits down on a chair. And I, in my rhinestone tuxedo, get on my knees. I grab his legs. I look up and I said, I am so scared. And he started to laugh. And he said, let me tell you a story. He said, I was a stand-up. And when I was doing, I Spy, Robert Culp, said, took me aside, and like a light would pop on the set. I'd get scared. He explained what was going on. And he just walked me through the whole process. He says, I'll take care of you. And every night he watched my act, every night. And he would give me notes. And I would finish my act, applause, applause, applause. Then the orchestra, we had 22-piece orchestra. And it would go, ladies and gentlemen, Harrah's Hotel is proud to present Mr. Bill Cosby. And, the music would start, and Bill comes out with his jogging suit, cigar, dragging his stool. And he said, okay, let's bring back Wesley's daughters. And he brings my girls back. And he goes, and now we'll bring Wesley out. And the audience is cheering. And so imagine there's 3,000 people screaming. He puts down the microphone. I come out and he goes, so how'd it go tonight? Did you try that? I said, yeah, I did exactly what you told me last night, and it worked. He goes, I know, I was watching. Ladies and gentlemen, Wesley Eure. Like we had this private conversation every night on stage. It was, so to say I was disappointed and hurt by what happened in his career and what he, is an understatement. But to me, he had been so kind, and he did not have a reputation for that. And I feel very fortunate.
Well, I'm listening to Wesley describe this and Mr. Cosby. And I think this is another tip of the hat to him. The words you choose, Wes, the way you don't make a drama out of a story. You tell it like it is without puffing it up and making it and I will say personally, we've had conversations, he and I, privately. Jeffrey, that's gossip. Don't repeat that. Or Jeff, you're talking too much. Make sure you let the other person say good stuff. Listen to the other person. Wes has, I mean, we're more or less the same age. I'm a little bit younger, but and he'll do it. He'll put his arm around you, not maybe physically, but mentally heartily put his arm around you and go, think about this for a second. I don't have very many people, show business friends, who can do it and do it in such a loving manner without ever being insulting, talking down to. One never feels badly when Wes gives input because you know he is telling you the truth as he sees it. And yeah, I know I'm loving on him, but 40 years of friendship, I get 5 minutes to love on him. I just, he's not my friend because he's the good-looking, talented, et cetera, et cetera. He's my friend because this is how he behaves. And I wish the whole world behaved this way.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's very sweet. Thank you. Now you're a horrible person. Now go to your room.
Yes. What's with the purple?
Yeah, exactly.
Says the man who's got purple above his head. Come on.
Hey, I love purple. It's my favorite color.
Oh God, the Bobbsey twins.
I bought this. I said this off camera just to wear on the show.
Great.
Jeffrey and I were out for breakfast with Kathy Coleman, played Holly, and we go to have a restaurant, and there's a store right next door, and it's everything under $10. One of these stores in Palm Springs, and there were these sparkling sandals, like really sparkling. And Kathy went like to the window, look at those. Oh my God, they weren't her size. She goes, Jeffrey, they're for you. You should get them.
And I did.
You went and bought them.
And I'm wearing them right now. As a matter of fact.
I love it. Take them off and show, Jeffrey. Show them.
Oh
boy. Are those purple too?
No.
Okay.
It is one, if one is lucky, one of the wonderful side benefits of being in show business a long time is to make friends like Wes and Kathy and a whole bunch of people we know. There's an esprit de corps. There's a shared experience. I mean, we didn't all do the same show. We're together at the same time, but there's this thing between all of us. I just love it. It's one of the big benefits to me of my career is the people. The people have been a huge, and Wesley is absolutely one of them. And, I met Wesley before I got clean and sober. That's how long I've known him. And he helped. He helped.
Bravo.
I want to, that part I won't embarrass him, but he helped.
That's everybody needs somebody like that.
Yeah. What's fun about this business is the access that we've all had with, I'll be sitting next to Lou Ferrigno or, Charo at something, or I'll be at a party and, it's, Cher or whoever, is there, you look around and you go, how the hell did I get here? I mean, it is an amazing thing. I used to go roller skating with Cher in Reseda with, she'd take over the roller rink on Thursday nights during the roller craze. And, she'd close it down and be invitation only. And it would be the Bee Gees or Elton, whoever was in town. And we'd go roller skating, this way now. Oh, boys only, girls only now, reverse. I mean, it literally was that corny in Reseda, California, and with the mirror ball going.
Yeah,
but
I've been there.
Going to Cher's house for a garage sale, which I did 3 times. She was selling.
Oh man,
selling stuff out of her garage, and
I'm sure she had something I'd like.
I'm sure.
Probably. But I totally have to agree with you, Wesley. I mean, Jeff and I, just a quick backstory. We both come from construction backgrounds. We both have writing backgrounds. We wrote a little novel that spun to the comic book series, to a TV series, to an animation, to this. All the people that we've been able to interact with it's been mind-blowing. It's been mind-blowing, like D. Wallace and, you know, Jeremy Palco, and just you. You know what I mean? Mr. Jeffrey Mark, now part of our family. It's just a great bunch of people. Trust me, there's a few assholes out there, but we won't mention them.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, we came across a couple, but I think that happens anyway. I don't care what business you're in.
The access is amazing. Sitting down and talking with Wes or Harlan Bowl, my publicist, who you guys all know.
Yep.
And
Love
you start
Harlan.
talking about, oh, I did this and I saw that. And you realize you're talking about presidents, first ladies, governors, mayors, the media people and the paparazzi people. And we look at each other and go, how the fuck did this happen? How did we, who were not born into the business, how did we from Mississippi or Brooklyn or Boston, how did we come to, you know, Harlan's Midwestern guy? And yet we've met. Harlan makes the joke that between the two of us, we have met every single human being in show business at one time or another.
You more than anybody, Jeffrey, hang out with them, especially with the Hollywood Museum and all the events that they do. I mean, you're always your Facebook is. I mean, there's all these celebrities all the time.
Look, these are including you. These are my friends. It's funny. I was looking for a picture of Wesley and me to post today on Facebook. And I realized I purposely don't take pictures of Wesley every time because our time is private and I don't want to impose on him, post the picture now. But yeah, it's because we have this thing in common. It's like any other industry, I think, where you all speak the same language. And the good folks hopefully migrate together. And I include Ben and Jeff in this. I have tremendous affection for both of them, and they're such good guys. And
I want to say the picture you picked of Wesley, he was shirtless.
I was going to say it, but I didn't.
I did it.
You know what? I saw that and go, really, Jeffrey? Really?
It is. If
post?
Wesley, if you Google your name and look at photos, it is the first photo that comes up.
No, you know what? I hated that picture. It was from Playgirl. And,
I know.
It was like they came out to. I had a little horse ranch for a while, and they came out and filmed. I was next to a giant plastic horse. It was like, okay. It was used for training and jumping and stuff like that. But you know, it's like. I just saw it just before we went on there. I was going.
I did it as a joke just to make you laugh.
It made me laugh. Yeah.
You know, like myself, and even more so, you can Google. There's 9 million photos of Wesley Eure looking handsome. First one, I'm just taking it and putting it up, and I looked at it this way: if it brings more viewers to this episode, so be it.
Now, my calendar picture of the month of May and the Chippendales got a much better picture, much better. But
yeah, you need to send that to me.
Oh my!
Yeah. That's a scrapbook picture, Jeffrey.
Oh,
no. I'm not going to say it. 3 different lines. They are all incredibly inappropriate.
All right. So I want to ask, how did you end up doing a horror flick?
I was on Days of Our Lives, and I got a call. They said, we want you to do this role in the Toolbox Murders, which Stephen King said was one of his top 10 horror films to watch. And it started the slasher genre, and it was and I'm not a very nice person in this. I'm pretty nasty. And it was the first time I got to do a really dark character. And I asked Days of Our Lives to get off, and after some negotiation, they gave me the 2 weeks off to film it. And it was Pamela Furton and Cameron Mitchell and myself. And it's dark. And it literally started the slasher genre back in I think it was 78. And in fact, I was roller skating. Here we go, roller skating again at Venice Beach, California. And back in the day, there were signs all over says "Do not skate after dark." Gangs, warning. I mean, It was big signs. Well, I was by myself. I'm on not rollerblades, roller skates, and I'm skating around, not paying any attention to the time. And suddenly I look around, and the street lights are on, and I'm going, "Oh, okay." And And I look around, I'm in an isolated place, and I am surrounded by a gang of guys. Literally surrounded. And I'm thinking, you have screwed up. Yeah, I was in such danger because and they literally were surrounded me, and a guy, so I'm shaking, and a guy comes roller skating up to me, just like the Jets. When you're a Jet, you're a Jet. Anyway, so he comes roller skating up to me and he goes, "You an actor?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Toolbox Murders?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Me no fuck with you, man. Me no fuck with you." Because he'd seen Toolbox and I scared him to death. And these guys, I started to laugh. These guys became friends of mine. And every time I'd go roller skating at Venice, they'd see me. They'd say, "Wesley, we're going to skate with you today. Nobody's going to bother you." And so basically, Toolbox Murder saved my life.
Okay. And that's the only horror flick you ever did. How come?
No, it's not. I did Jennifer.
Oh, you did another one.
Get eaten by snakes. And and Jennifer's another one that's it was the snake version of Carrie. And Lisa Pelican and Bert Convy, Jeff Corey.
Wow.
So
great cast.
Right.
It was a great and it did really, really well. So it got great reviews back in the day.
You missed that one.
The Toolbox Murders that's a horror classic right now.
Right.
I mean,
it's become it's labeled a cult classic.
Yep.
And and I remember when Stephen King announced, he said somebody asked him if you had 10 movies to rent for Halloween, what would be the list, and we were right there.
Nice.
You are at this stage in your life, our lives, about as busy as someone our age should be. How did you, because I've watched this go from, I wonder if we can get booked, to you're somewhere else in the world every fucking weekend. How did you grow that? How did that happen to you?
Kathy and I just sort of, we just put ourselves out there, and it's the show again, the writing, the show has hit a nerve and has created this new audience, and I think we're also the only ones left alive from that generation. So
why don't you tell our friends who are watching and listening, if they come to see you at one of these places, what can they expect? What's the experience?
Kathy, 10 years ago, Kathy had this idea, because in the opening of Land of the Lost, I sing the theme song for Land of the Lost. And it's Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition, met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft, plunging down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost. So we're in a yellow raft that goes over a 1,000-foot waterfall. So we bring this big yellow blow-up boat with yellow oars, life jackets, and fans get in the lifeboat with us, and we hold the oars and slee stack skulls and heads, and Kathy has a dopey puppet, which was our pet dinosaur, and we scream and go over the waterfall for a photo. So
I have done it, and it is so much fun.
You have joined a list of celebrities a mile long. Every celebrity you can imagine, from the cast of Brady Bunch to the Little House to John Schneider to Sam Jones, Melissa Gilbert. It's just, it literally is probably about 100 celebrities that have been in our raft, and they come running to us. Yes. I remember Patrick Wayne. We were doing a show with Patrick at Monster Bash, and his agent said, "Get in the raft with Wesley and Kathy." I don't want to get in the raft. And so he finally got in the raft. He took a picture, begrudgingly. The next morning, he comes running up to us and says, "Wesley, Kathy, I need another picture in the raft. My Facebook and Instagram blew up with that picture. It's all over the place. I want another picture." And so, and Loretta Swit, a year ago.
Yeah.
She says, "I don't get in the raft. I'm a major. I stand outside the raft." And she took a picture standing outside the raft. But everybody, it's been amazing.
That was at the Game Show Expo last year, right?
At the game show, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were there in the afternoon. Right? They were there in the afternoon, and they had me singing at night, playing Rip Taylor for the $1.98. We recreated the $1.98 beauty show, and I sang the theme song that night.
Oh wow, Jeffrey! I wish I'd seen it.
He was too busy in the raft.
I think I collapsed after. Listen, jumping in and out of that raft at my age, because it's on the floor. You would think that would be the stupidest picture in the world, but it's not. It come out so great, and then fans will Photoshop it on a waterfall, and it looks amazing. We actually a few weeks ago had the banjo boy from Deliverance, the guy that played the little boy that ding, 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 ding. Yeah, you sure got a pretty mouth. You know, so he got in the raft with his banjo, and fans, if you go to my Facebook, fans photoshopped us on a very creepy river, you know, with banjo boys that they're playing.
Oh, you have a summer filled with these appearances. Why don't you promote yourself a little here? What's coming up over the summer? What's the next stuff coming up?
We're going to Lancaster, Pennsylvania in a week. We're going to Shore Leave, which is going to be a great show. Then we go to Raleigh, North Carolina for a huge show at the end of July. And then we are heading to Las Vegas. We do the Star Trek convention for a week in August. We've got Dallas Fanfare. We've got Raleigh. We've got oh my gosh, Albuquerque. If you go to wesleyure.com, you'll see way more than you ever wanted to know about me. But it has the schedule on it with different flyers and posters for the different shows, and it's amazing. And I go to Mexico. I live half the year in Mexico, so I go back to my house in Mexico right after Dallas Fanfare, and I'm there for 6 months, and I fly back and forth to do shows.
So just in case you missed that, folks, make sure you check the show notes up above or down below, depending on when you're watching or listening to us, because all that information is there. I should have started the show with that, but hey.
That's all right. You got it in. You got it in.
You guys have a great show. I mean, I can't believe 6 years. You know how hard that is to do this many shows and book this many guests and to create this much fun and entertainment. It's not easy. It's crazy. Kathy and I started our own web channel. I mean, doing podcasts, and it kind of petered out a little bit because we just well, what are we going to talk about now? So for 6 years, guys, bravo.
I'm thrilled to have become a part of it in this season, and hope I get to do many seasons with them.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do your standard Q&A.
We just try and have fun. That's all. It's just
we just want to chat. It's sitting in the backyard, chatting with your buddies. We want to know stuff that most people don't know. Like, what's your favorite color?
Well, today it's purple.
Right? So, So we know a few promoters out here on the East Coast. I think I'm going to drop your name to them.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah,
I think you and Kathy would be a great fit for the Vermont Sci-Fi Fantasy and Horror Expo.
Yeah,
I think they'd be a great fit for that because it's sci-fi and you've got a little bit of horror under your belt.
You've seen my work. I thought you were a critic. No.
That was on the OnlyFans.
Biting my tongue.
What is this reoccurring charge for $19.95 to OnlyFans, honey?
I did it for you.
Oh my gosh, boys! I'll tell you.
Wes, besides all these places you're going to be, I know you never only have one thing going on. What's going on in the back of your head? Another creative thing you're thinking about or wanting to do, or maybe you're already working on that I don't know about.
Yeah, I've got a new animated series that we're working on right now, and hopefully I'll be able to announce something soon. And,
very cool.
And another ghost show. I produced a ghost documentary called Parasense: The Naked Experiments, with a famous ghost hunter and a scientist developing new technologies to prove touch. And there's some stuff happening with that. So.
Wow. So now he fits in the Maine Paranormal and Horror Convention.
Yep. I just did Coast to Coast the other night with Connie Wills and talking about, ghosts and Bigfoot and all that. So that was an interesting time. We were doing Monster Bash in Pittsburgh, and I was on between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning. That's tough. That was
yes.
Oh my goodness. After being up all day in the raft and then getting up the next day to get into the raft again and laughing and giggling. But, listen, it's such an honor for people like you guys, contacting me. I pinch myself sometimes and just think, why do people still want to hear stories from me? It's like, it's just so odd to me. And
it brings people back in time. That's why people always want to feel young.
Yeah.
Just don't get in a raft with them.
No. Another just,
I will, as long as it's not on the water.
You have to, when you get in the raft, you have to sign a release. If you drown or you get eaten by a dinosaur during the photography, you cannot come after us.
That's fair.
Yeah. Years ago, when I was on Land of the Lost, I was sitting, we were at break one day, and this girl named Deidre Hall comes up to me. She was starring in Sid Marty Krofft's show, Dinah Girl, Electra Woman. And she says, I've got an audition for Days of Our Lives. And I go, Deidre, I know exactly what they're looking for. I had lunch with the producers yesterday at the commissary at NBC, and they were talking about what they look for when somebody auditions. And I gave her the pointers, and she went and auditioned. And of course, now Deidre Hall, Dr. Marlena, she is the granddam of Days of Our Lives to this day. She has become this, she's replaced, all the people have come and gone. And Deidre is still there and is like the star, the female star of the show. And
I think only Susan Seaford Hayes has been on longer than she has.
Yeah. And we lost Bill Hayes last year, and that was tough. Her husband. So, but Susan's amazing, So.
Oh, I'm going to assume you are a believer in the paranormal, Bigfoot.
Oh,
all
yeah,
that
absolutely,
stuff.
absolutely. I've had some amazing experiences, and when we did Parasense, the Naked Experiments, what happens is pretty shocking, and what we capture on film is some of it's terrifying, where you actually see blood, scratch where there was no scratch before, and blood.
I believe you.
Yeah, what it was is we put people into very places where there's been reports of touching and stuff, like the abandoned prison, Brushy Mountain State Prison in North Carolina, and Old
That wouldn't be my bedroom then.
Yeah. I said I didn't say where no touching happens. I said we're touching.
Yeah. You would definitely fit into the Maine Paranormal and Horror Convention. The guy that puts it on has the largest museum for Ouija boards.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got some that are over 100 years old and shit.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
And he just got what did he just? He just got a lobotomy set from a psychiatric hospital that's been like out of business for 100 years. So he has like some really creepy shit, but he's totally into the paranormal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he'd be a good fit there.
It is. Listen. What I know is that I know nothing.
Right.
I don't pretend to know the answers to anything. I want to go and experience it. What happens. I want to see what is the truth of this. And if nothing happens, then nothing happens. If something happens, then what's it all about?
Right.
And so it was interesting times when my mom. When my mom was at assisted living here in Palm Springs before she passed, and the night she died, it was at 2 a.m, and I'm massaging my mom's feet, sitting in a chair at the end of her bed, just the two of us, and suddenly my grandmother shows up. I mean, literally was right there. I stood up, I turned around, I looked at her, and I made a full circle. I started to laugh. I said, "Mom, your mother was just here. I think I won a movie of the week." And my mother had died at that moment. And my sister, who was I'm in Palm Springs, California, and my sister, who was in Atlanta working on a movie, she was in production accounting. She calls and goes, "What just happened? Mother just came to me and said goodbye." At that very moment, I mean, literally, the phone rang, and she was, in Atlanta, Georgia. So there's a lot to be explored, and I don't know all the answers. I don't know any of the answers,
Right.
but I'm certainly willing to explore it.
Excellent.
Oh, I don't know if that's a cool, sad story.
It wasn't a terrible story. I mean, it's what I saw was my grandmother came to take my mom.
Yeah.
And then my mom went to say goodbye to my sister. And that's, it has never come back. So it's just, she said her goodbyes.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
Right.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice if there was, if we could show that there really was something, later on, and after we go, and
well, energy never dies.
Oh,
energy
yeah.
goes somewhere.
Well, that's
I've
what
always been a
Einstein
firm
said.
believer.
His
Yeah.
theory says you cannot, can't be created or destroyed.
Sometime when we're having, I don't want to use up our time, but sometime when we're having lunch, I've got about a half a dozen of these kinds of stories that have happened in my life. I absolutely believe in it. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people do. I know I've got some.
Yeah, I've got some. We could do a whole show on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
it's not a coincidence that this has happened, that you all have stories. It's
Yeah.
just not.
In and of itself, look at that. All four of us here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they're private moments. They're not, they're not public moments usually. There's something very intimate and private, and so it's not that there's somebody's trying to create something or trying to grandstand or something like that. At least my experience, it's something that just happens, and very.
Usually, it's a heartfelt thing when the way they describe it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or fear, however it comes out.
About 10 years ago, I got contacted by a production company who wanted me to help them bring in Lucille Ball's ghost. And I didn't do it because I won't do anything the family doesn't approve of. And I didn't even think to call the family. But in talking with Lucy, when I told her, she said, "You should have done it. I believe in it. You should have done it." So hey, if you ever do it again, call me. I'll do it this time.
Yeah, James Van Prague, if you guys know who James is, he's a pal of mine, and he's a medium. But he's an extra large these days. But he's a medium. Okay, that's a joke, by the way. That's a joke. Yeah. So, but I have, years ago, I used to work with a mentalist, a Vegas mentalist I was promoting. So I know all the tricks. I know them. I participated in them. I know how to fake all the mental things and the writing something down that you think you anyway. I know them all. But I went to see James, and he was sold out at the McCallum Theater in Palm Springs and Rancho Mirage here, and it was like 3,000 people or whatever it is in that thing. And I wanted to debunk him because I just met him. And I thought, okay, I'm going to debunk this guy. And I went backstage. I'm watching and seeing, okay, I want to see who he talks to and see if that person shows up in the audience or anything like that, And I went and sat in the audience, and he came out and he said, "Somebody, I'm feeling pain, pain here." And a daughter, and some lady raises her hand. Her daughter had been shot. And he goes, "You carry a Bible?" And you think, "Oh, yeah, I do." And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's, okay. He says, you have a photo of her? She goes, "Well, yeah, I have a photo." He says, "Open your Bible to Corinthians." And she opened it and started to scream and sob because there was her daughter's picture in Corinthians in her little Bible. And I thought, the audience went nuts. And at the end of the show, I went backstage and I hung out to watch, and she came backstage because he gave her some books. Said, "Come backstage, I'll give you some books," and things like that. And she did. And I watched and listened very carefully to see if they knew each other. And boy, they did not. It was apparent that she was distraught and grateful, and they had never met. And so I went. And I've watched him many times. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't. But I have witnessed some amazing things.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Who was the mentalist?
Oh, let's not go into that.
I was just curious because we're friends with John Stetson.
Nice,
who
very
is
nice.
the very famous mentalist.
Yeah. This one I'm going to keep quiet on this one. This one was I opened a show for him up at the Golden Nugget for a while, and anyway.
Well, I know who it is now.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother show, folks.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Speaking of, we are like 10 or 15 minutes. Well, not quite 15, almost 10 over. We don't want to keep Wesley all night. So, Mr. Jeffrey Mark, any last questions for this amazing guest?
Yeah, actually, I have one.
He never has one.
You've done so much, Wesley. Is there anything in show business in all this 50 plus years you've been in the business that you've like never gotten a chance to do, but you'd love to try? And like, is there something you always like nod at you? Oh, I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah, Broadway. I never did. When I went to New York after work for Robert Gurley Carolines, I auditioned for Pippin, and it got down to 3 boys. John Rubinstein got it.
Right.
But I had never sung. I didn't know I didn't know anything, and I blew the last audition, and so I never got to do Broadway. Then I came to Los Angeles and got my TV series, and that would be the dream I would have, is to do a Broadway show.
John Rubinstein was magnificent in Pippin, but so would you have been.
Yeah, and then I got to for 20 years I worked with Stephen Schwartz, who wrote Pippin and Wicked. And I was producing a new musical that he wrote called Snapshots, and we workshopped it for 20 years, and it just didn't take off. So I got to work with him as a producer, not as a performer.
No, I was gonna bring up a story. I'm not gonna, because we're running out of time, and I don't want to be eating up time. Jeff, what about you? Have you got something you want to ask Wesley?
I'm going to ask my typical question. Are you a cat guy or a dog guy?
Boy, I like both, to be honest. I've had cats in my life, and I love them because, first of all, they're easy to take care of. And dogs, I had dogs for 18, two sisters for 18 years, and that was the last dogs that I had, little fluffy black dogs, and Tony and Teaser, and they were wonderful. But I travel so much now. But I dog sit for all my friends. Friends will go on vacation. They'll come to my house for 2 weeks, and I take care of them. So I'm a great dog uncle.
Okay. Would you ever have a rodent as a pet?
No.
No.
Yeah. The song "Ben" keeps going through my mind. No, I want something that I can cuddle with and be, I know, guinea pig and rats and stuff are really can be very affectionate, but I want something I can go out and go to coffee with without scaring the neighbors.
I had 2 ferrets for a period of time.
I hear those are really amazing.
They're amazing animals. Yep. Ben remembers them. I had 2 ferrets.
Yeah, I love how they wrap themselves around you, and
they'll curl up on your lap. Yeah.
And Jeff, can one housebreak ferrets?
Oh yeah, they use a litter box.
Oh, cool!
Wow.
Yeah,
I have a great friend that has rabbits, and they're easy. They train easily, and he loves them.
Yep.
And they're easily amused.
Well, I'm easily amused.
Yeah, we know that.
You guys are too much. You know what? You guys are great together, all of you. I know I'm not blowing smoke either. I'm not trying to. But you guys, it is such an honor to watch you guys work and be part of your gang here for the day.
We really like and respect each other. It works.
It does. Yeah. It's again chemistry, guys. It's like with Land of the Lost. We became a real. I told Sid Marty Krofft, you didn't just cast my TV family. You gave me a real life family, which is true. and Kathy
Right.
is like my sister. But it's the same thing, you know. It's all based on chemistry. It either works or it doesn't.
I came on last season as a guest and had a great time. They had me back for New Year's Eve to sing and be part of their New Year's Eve special. And like a week later, I was a regular. So yay.
Yeah, he pushed his way right in there.
Unbelievable. Oh my God.
That's not how it happens at all. Come on.
I had my hesitations, and I had to have a meeting with you just to qualify you that you were capable of being able to do it.
Let me just, the question I need to ask you guys is, did his check clear?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right.
But I did get the Lucy book, so I guess that's okay.
I mean, you know, he mails us little sequins every once in a while.
Wow.
All right, enough with that.
I got to, you know what, with Lucy, I got to teach Lucille Ball how to play Password because I was a regular guest.
Tell the story. Please tell that story, Wes.
Your time. Anyway,
well, it's your time.
So I became a regular on Password with Alan Ludden and Tom Kennedy and the different hosts, and I play a lot with Elizabeth Montgomery, and Alan Ludden at one point said Elizabeth Montgomery's the best female player and Wesley's the best male player. So I was on a lot with Betty White and every female star. So one day I'm in my dressing room at NBC Burbank. The producer knocks on the door and said, Wesley, would you mind teaching Lucille Ball how to play the end game of Password? Because she had played it when it was black and white, but there was a new end game called Alphabetics. And I said, Lucille Ball, are you crazy? Yes. You know, so I called my mother. My mother lived in Burbank because on Days of Our Lives, I had a house in Burbank. And I said, Mother, what are you doing today? She goes, nothing. I go, want to spend the day with Lucille Ball? And she goes, yeah. And she was there in 10 minutes through the guard gate, everything. So Lucy came in and in my dressing room and my mom was sitting there. And, you know, we shot 5 different half-hour shows. You bring 5 wardrobes, so you shoot a whole week. And so she sat in there, watched on the monitor, and I don't know who the female other celebrity was that I was playing against at the time, but we'd film the half hour. I'd come back and we'd talk about all the clues, and I'd change my clothes in front of her, and we spent the whole day together and had the most amazing time. And talking about access and being able to be next to your heroes. I mean, I was with Lucille Ball was with my mother in my dressing room while I'm changing clothes. I mean, it was like there's just no words. It was fabulous. Right. And then Red Fox, I had to share the dressing room with Red Fox one day at NBC, and Red took off his shirt, and Red had tattooed above his nipple. He had like prison tattoos, but it was a face. It was like they had 2 eyes, and the nose was the nipple, and the mouth underneath. And I go, he took it off, and he made him sing. I have never laughed so hard. And there I am with, you know, Red Fox, and I'm sharing a dressing room, and his nipples are singing. I mean,
there's a book in there someplace.
Right? There you go. There's a new book. That's not a children's book, though.
No. Hell of a thriller.
Right? The new horror novel by Wesley Eure.
That man was so, you know, there's just some people that just make you laugh all the time. And boy, did he just, everything he said was just a hoot. I mean, it was amazing. Anyway, how do you explain that? It just was amazing. You know, I'm looking around going, how did I get here?
I say that all the time.
Right?
Don't drink as much then. And
so on that note, Wesley, where do you like interacting with your fans on the social medias?
I am on Facebook, and we have a huge Land of the Lost Facebook page called Land of the Lost 1974 to 76 TV series with thousands of fans, and we have the best time. But Instagram, TikTok, and you can reach me through my Facebook. I mean, my website at www.wesleyeure.com. And Kathy has a page on there, and we have all the list of shows. And you know, you can contact me. You can send emails or whatever. It goes right to me.
Excellent. Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
I'm on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark, just like it's there on the bottom there. And for those of you who are only listening, Jeffrey's with a G, Geoff. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Jeffrey Mark Showbiz. I'm on LinkedIn. And hey, if you like this show, Ben is producing another show for me. Everywhere you're listening and watching on these very same networks and platforms, coming soon to a phone or a computer screen is going to be Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella, where I will be playing the music of the great Ella Fitzgerald and telling you insider stories about how the music is made. So look for that really, really soon. And I love Wesley Eure. He is one of my closest friends in life in the big picture. And I love my co-hosts. And today, this episode has just made me feel tremendously grateful. And one of those people is Ben. Ben?
No. Now it's Jeff's turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jeff's turn. I take it back.
You're confusing me.
Well, obviously, I'm confused too. So there you go.
I want to thank Wes for joining us. I really had a blast. Thank you, Jeffrey Mark, for all you do and your insight. I really appreciate that as well. We might keep it.
Did he just freeze up on us?
Me?
Who?
No, you froze up. You froze up in the middle of your conversation there, Jeff. Yeah, you.
No, that must have been you. Anyway, I think I said all my things. Just go to stilltoken.com. You'll find out everything you need to know about us. On Facebook, it's Token with the Dead. Why they're different? Because they're two different things that we do. That's why. So look us up.
Right. So, like Jeff said, stilltoken.com is the website. You can find everything you want to know about us. All these amazing shows that we've done are all cataloged there. Everywhere else too, YouTube and all that stuff. We want to thank Wesley for taking time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us tonight and just laugh, because that's what we need. We need to laugh once in a while. Jeffrey Mark, as always, love seeing you.
Likewise, my friends.
Wesley, when we close out the show, just hang tight for a second while it closes out, if you don't mind.
To
all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Have a happy.